Welcome to episode 4 of the Coach Ray Speaks podcast, the CRS. Let's get right to it. Glad to be back on the air. It's been a little while. We're recording this with my good buddy Lee in the studio that can see me from Gotham Podcast Studios on the holiday weekend of July 4th. So we'd like to welcome a brand new sponsor to the CRS. This is the Bro Will Embroidery and Custom Tee people. They are at www.browillembroidery.com. The proprietor's name is Mr. Wayne Williams. You can reach him at 347-737-9609. Again, that's www.browillembroidery.com. You can say what you want on a professionally designed t-shirt. Excellent quality, excellent pricing. Bro Will Embroidery is the apparel designer of the Coach Ray Speaks podcast, and you'll be seeing when we begin to do video, you'll be seeing all the embroidery that we do. Everything we wear will come from Bro Will Embroidery. They are the ones also sending our t-shirts out to the people that actually write in and whose emails that we use on the show. And this week, we have a question from Abdul from Delaware. And Abdul asks, what do you do when you open a business and get inundated from the previous space holders or store owners, the bills they had, the structural repairs that they needed to do, and it adversely affects your cash flow? Well, Abdul, one thing I would do to avoid a problem like this, I'd check with your city's Department of Buildings before I even went into the building. I'd ask about violations and from previous owners. Landlords may not be forthcoming, especially if they can look into a contract or lock you, I should say, into a contract because you may be able to get some prime space. So when you're thinking about renting or leasing any space for a business, I'd want to know why the previous tenant left. This is often a key as to whether you should actually make the investment for the space. Did they outgrow the space? Were there neighborhood issues? Were there building issues? But what it sounds like to me, Abdul, is that you're already in the space and you're not getting the benefit of the space and you're going through a lot of expenses and fines. Now, is that from the landlord not taking care of things that he was supposed to do? I'm not sure the kind of business that you may want to consult an attorney about what needs to be paid prior to opening, but or, in fact, can be paid while you're open for business. Can you raise capital from friends and family, depending on the type of business you have, perhaps taking on partners? Venture capitalists could be a short-term fix and could lead to ultimate success. So, Abdul, we're going to send you a Coach Ray Speaks t-shirt. We appreciate the questions and any questions that you have regarding business. Or if you just want to give a shout, you can reach me at Coach Ray at CoachRaySpeaks.com. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back with our guest.
Hi, this is Coach Ray Baxter, and I want to talk to you for a moment about your business. That's right, your business. Have you laid a foundation of reliability and trust within your team? How do you deal with difficult customers? Now that you have completed the sale, what's your retention strategy? Ladies and gentlemen, not only am I a business strategist, but a subject matter expert on leadership and how leadership can enhance your bottom line. I speak throughout the country and all over the world, and I have 5 signature programs through which you can teach your staff to ask insightful questions to derive pain points, to discover whether your leaders are focus-driven or chaos creators, to not just survive the day, but to reduce service recovery. And finally, to learn not to apologize to a customer, but to collaborate and give more than what's expected. At RBJ Global Solutions, our goal is to provide an energetic, strategic, and profitable approach to organizational front lines. Contact me I'd love to speak with you about talking to your group. That's Coach Ray, that's CoachRay, at CoachRaySpeaks.com.
And welcome back to episode 4 of the Coach Ray Speaks podcast. Again, we're recording this on the weekend of that we celebrate our nation's birthday. And we have the type of story that is perfect for this weekend. This is about family. Well, let me introduce it, and you'll understand. Now, probably one of the single most important and riskiest decisions one makes in life is the start of a business. And if you've ever had the dream of being your own boss, of making your own decisions, and probably creating a mess of all your free time, then this podcast is definitely for you. The gentleman that we will speak with today does not have one but two viable business interests simultaneously, but this is not about management or becoming a multimillionaire or owning two enterprises. This is about a purely American story, a family recipe, a legacy, and the building of a brand. In addition, we'll discuss the business opportunities and job opportunities that will arise from the product expansion. And with that being said, we welcome Mr. Howard Anderson to the table. Mr. Anderson. He hung up? Are you serious? Oh, Jesus. We got to do it again?
You could keep that. I'm just going to call him back and cue him in. Because in post, we could take out the gap.
Okay. So I don't even have to do the intro again. Just, all right, cool. Howard, we lost you again.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay.
We're good now.
Okay. Listen, I don't know if you heard my introduction, but we introduced you. So here's what we're going to do. I'm just going to jump right in and begin to ask you questions, okay? And then our post-production, we'll clean it up, all right? So
Sounds good. Yep.
All right, so with that being said, we welcome Mr. Howard Anderson to the podcast. Howard, how are you today?
Doing great. Hello, everybody.
Awesome.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So I'd like to get right into this. Now, the story that you have is original regarding your product. This is Carleton's Grand Jerky Sweet Brine. Can you tell me how you got into the business? Because originally you weren't part of the family business. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's actually my brother-in-law had asked me into it some time ago, like 2013, 14, when he really just first started, and it wasn't really didn't really understand much about it. And I think that's what a lot of your listeners will probably say, like, geez, jerky selling? It's like, but then he asked me again in 2014 around Christmas time, and I just, he's really pushing it hard, and just kind of want to help him live his dream. And so it's just sales. So he actually took me out to Pine Ridge in January.
Where's Pine Ridge?
2000.
Where's Pine Ridge?
Pine Ridge is South Dakota.
Okay.
Kind of like the gateway to the Black Hills. So that's where I cut my teeth, was at Pine Ridge Indian Reservation. Because this is basically where the story comes from. There's a Kadoka line and a Pine Ridge line, and it kind of dates back to his grandparents and sod houses and all that stuff. And when we get the website up and running, people can read all about the history and the formulation of the product. And yes, it is a sweet brine. It was originally intended to do fish.
What does that mean, sweet brine? I've tasted it. You sent me 3 bags. I went through 2. I couldn't put it down.
I get it. So like pickles would be like in a brine, or it would be like a salt brine or a salt bath. So the meat is basically marinated. So what it does is the brine breaks down the molecular structure, tender, it's moist, juicy, delicious. You know that. You know how it goes.
Right.
So that's what separates it from all the other products that are that old salty cow deal that's all dried out there and some spices and whatnot. But yeah, Grand Jerky kind of stands alone in the fact that it is immersed in the sweet brine solution, and then from there it's the curing, and then obviously it's the packaging, which I remember. I'm sure you realized when you opened it up there that it was a vacuum packed bag. It's got a 6 millimeter impervious bag, so it's going to stand up to activities, and that's what the great thing about this product is.
Yeah,
Not only nutrition or as carbs and protein, but it's just going to be real easy to stand up to activities. To bring it in a bug out bag, camping, fishing, hiking, and all the sports that go along with it.
Usually jerky, and I partake in it a little bit, it comes in not in a regular vacuum tube, or it's just packed in a bag and it's sold. Your product is different because it's actually vacuum packed. Is that correct?
Right. There are some products out there that are vacuum. They're usually the smaller bags. I think some of like the 1 ounce sticks and the 1 ounce jerkies out there, I think are vacuum sealed. But when you get into like the 2.85 and the 3 ounce, 3.25 ounce bags and bigger, then they usually go with that balloon packaging and nitrogen injected silica gel packs and all that stuff for freshness. And speaking of freshness, our product is date stamped to last a year. It'll go longer than that, but legally we just go a year.
A year, wow! So I could actually take this packet away and bring it back out, say almost next spring, from right now.
Oh, and then beyond, really. Okay. And I've had stuff that was probably 3 or 4 years old, and it was just as good as the day it was made. Yeah.
So Howard, let me ask you this: why am I spending my hard-earned money on beef jerky, and particularly your brand of beef jerky?
Well, the flavor gets to the part, but what I'm really after is people that have the passion of the product. It's an South Dakota recipe. It's made in South Dakota at the moment through Sturgis Meats there in Sturgis, South Dakota. And I'm looking for some people that are passionate about the product, sales, and if I can do it, pretty much anybody can do it because, like I said, I didn't really have any sales experience. You just thought the product just sells itself. So
what I'm asking,
so that's really what I'm looking.
Right, but what I'm asking is not so much from the sales standpoint, but from the product standpoint. If I have a choice of several beef jerkies, why am I choosing your brand?
Well, it's the sweet brine, which again, it's soft, it's tender, it's moist, it won't get stuck in your teeth. People with dental conditions can chew it. It's got the flavor, it's got carbohydrates, it's got protein, so it's probably as good as any energy bar out there as far as carbs and protein. So it's sort of balanced that way. Just the packaging, and then just that old world recipe is just the best flavor. Just the best flavor. You just really ain't gonna want to go after anything else once you have this.
Got you. You have
a lot of tests.
I think I told you before, I'm a former football coach, and I know if a player's uniform is not dirty, there's a chance he didn't get to play, right? So I want to know what you're doing to get your hands dirty, to enter markets like the New York market or markets on the East Coast that you haven't sold in yet. You've sold in South Dakota, right? But where else have you sold? Where else do you have the product? And where are you looking to get into? What markets are you looking to branch into?
It's a fair enough question. It's basically sold wherever I've tried to sell it. So we've been in about 9 different states, but just testing waters just a little bit. We've been in Virginia at a gun store. We were in Montana for a bit when I was running it. We were in Colorado, Wyoming, Nebraska. We were the first and only jerky in Mount Rushmore. We were in Devil's Tower in Wyoming. Crazy Horse in South Dakota. I like those big venues there. They've been at major events when Randy first came along. Hills Alive in Rapid City, South Dakota. He had going on there, a big festival, I think in the fall or something like that. It's been in New Hampshire. It's been a little bit in Massachusetts. I'm in construction. and that's what pays the bills at the moment. But I've got this. Randy passed away in 2015, and I've been carrying this ever since to keep it alive.
Yeah,
We
let's
get a great
acknowledge.
following.
Let's acknowledge the family. Randy, you said passed away. Who else? I know you told me before that you had to have a conversation with the family in order to carry it, to carry it to where you have it now. So let's acknowledge the family and their part in this. Tell me about that.
Yeah, the Carleton family still resides back in Kadoka. They're big fans of it. Randy has a sister that lives in Rapid City, and his widow Cheryl still lives in Rapid City. She was running it for a while, and just didn't want to keep up with it. I do have a distributor out there that handles all my accounts that I left behind because I did move from South Dakota back to New Hampshire to be closer to family and get it out into where the population is. So it's kind of why we're talking now, Ray, because with this product, but there could be some slow growth. It depends, but I'm all in on getting this thing marketed, throughout the country. It's a USDA product, so it can go anywhere, and pretty much anybody can sell it. There's going to be certain territories cut up. There's probably going to be regions developed, and people want in. They're going to want to let us know immediately because this will catch like wildfire. There's no doubt about it.
You and I definitely talked about that, and have you ever been in sales prior to this? Have you done sales before?
No, not really. Just marking myself in construction. I was licensed in South Dakota for 16 years. Mm-hmm. So maybe that kind of helped, but it doesn't really. I mean, you're walking into a C-store and you get all these other products. You got to compare yourself against other jerkies and stuff, and there's an awful lot out there. So your question doesn't go without merit because there is major competition. You have the big boys out there, and there's several of those. And you have kind of your small lines. I think my product taste. I had a guy that manages C-stores up in North Dakota. He just got back from the food Las Vegas, Nevada, and he said that your product measures right at the show. So we're just trying to get the word out there and get the product out there.
Yeah. Before we take our first break, I one question. That's what I was going to ask. There are there's Slim Jim. There's so many other big brands out there. You're a guy that hasn't done marketing before. You're a guy that hasn't done sales before. How do you measure up? Or attempt to measure up with the bigger brands.
I know price point we're right there. Packaging, I think we're above and beyond most. Flavor, I think we're above and beyond most. We will get into organic, so we'll compete with that market as well as we develop that. We already have a recipe. We just gotta, lay out the paperwork and get the labels and all that stuff. So hopefully in 2020 will be our banner year. Looking forward with that. With the organics. I know this stuff sells because I did it. I'll tell you a reason why. We also carry a buffalo as a side of the beef, and we're going to run some here in about 30 days' time or less. I had 3 bags. I went to our usual customers. I expanded out into like the Corn Palace in South Dakota, handed out a couple, but I held one. I went around to wherever I could, and I said, we're going to be carrying buffalo. I pre-ordered, I'd say, and I tell them, all my new contacts here, like yourself and Steve and all that stuff there, between 16 and 20 cases. And the cases come 160 each. And I sold just about 20, plus or minus 2. I don't remember exactly. Pre-sold. So we haven't run it yet. So just, are you in or you're out? And that many were in. And then we had it manufactured, and I just went around and just started dropping off cases. Boom, 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 and collecting up checks.
Wow.
The beef and the buffalo. They're buying buffalo, they're buying beef. They're buying both. There was one place in Pierce, South Dakota, the capital, and I walked in there, and same sort of thing. I sold 4 cases in about 15 minutes, just talking to the manager. He says, oh, I'm in, I want 2 cases of each. That was 640 bags. The usual commission on a bag is like $1. On Buffalo is like $1.50. So you can imagine the commission check I got on that alone.
Wow. Sounds like a
Yeah.
very interesting proposition. We're going to take our first break. We're going to come right back with Mr. Howard Anderson. You're listening to the Coach Ray Speaks podcast.
Hi, this is Coach Ray of Coach Ray Speaks. Are you an established entrepreneur that struggles to get on the phone and make prospecting calls? Are you reluctant to network, to put yourself out there, to get new clients? Or have you spent money on the next big thing that was supposed to bring you all the clients you can handle? Now you can hang on to false hope, or you can get help. I'm a business strategist who can show any existing business how to find $10,000 in revenue in less than 45 minutes of conversation. Now, this conversation is already paid for by this podcast and is absolutely free to you. So, take the offer for a test drive and contact me today. Email me, Coach Ray, COACHRAY, at CoachRaySpeaks.com. Just mention you heard this offer on this podcast, and we can be talking about increasing your bottom line very soon.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Mr. Howard Anderson. Mr. Howard Anderson of Carleton's Grand Jerky Sweet Brine on the Coach Ray Speaks podcast. Howard, here's a question for you. I know you've had to run into, I'm sure you've had to do a lot of reading on marketing and sales. Is there someone in the business that you view as a role model that you want to sort of model your either your sales pitch or your ideas after in growing this product?
Well, I think I got to follow the passion of Randy. Randy was a very passionate guy,
Let's talk about him.
and so I would say Randy. Otherwise, I don't think I really would have joined him, and to follow the passion of his product and his dream. And it's such an epic dream, an epic product to want to follow. It really makes it easy to just go into these C-stores, grocery chains, or whatever, with a very unique product that I know firsthand sells. And it sold wherever I went. Doesn't matter what state I went into, I could sell it. I know it can go pretty much anywhere. So Randy would be my inspiration on that, and I'm going to keep up the legacy of his vision of the product. And we're in talks with several people throughout the country that are in on this. But it's wide open. It's wide open for a lot of people. Maybe in your viewing or your listening audience right now, there's going to be somebody in there that might want to get in on this. You can check us out on our Facebook page of Carleton's Grand Jerky. My direct line is there as well, and see what it would look like to be involved and kind of create. So what Randy did is he actually handed over a territory. He handed over routes, and just every 30 days, I just do the routes and drop off the jerky and either collect checks or cash or 30-day notes or whatever, and you just get paid when the money comes in. You just start collecting your commissions, and you just develop your routes. If you keep them well, and you just expand it further and further out. But I had to travel so far in South Dakota, North Dakota, just to drop off a little bit of bags to the customers, because they just don't have the population out there. But if you're in a populous area, or even if you're not, you can drop off a ton of jerky, and there's quite a bit to be made from this.
Yeah,
the jerky is really rise.
That sounds like the old school sales where, a guy's on his route for 30, like you said, for 30 days, and he's bringing product and taking checks, bringing product and taking checks. I guess there were no computers back then. There were no, you barely probably had cell phones, if that, and that's how you communicated at night through the hard lines, and you were out there on your own. You were making your own decisions and selling the product. I
tell you right. There's nothing like, and all you have to do is kind of watch a movie like Tommy Boy to get any little inspiration at all. And Randy and I used to kind of laugh about that. When you walk into a C-store, You may not want to talk about jerky right away. Yeah, you might want to introduce yourself there, but you want to kind of get to know your people. You know, who's the manager? Who's got the rights for them to buy in the product? And you kind of warm up to them. You might want to talk about anything local. I mean, it's just funny how every time you go into a new C-store, you don't just give them the same old line. You kind of create it in the moment. And that's basically how I approach it, to have quite a bit of success. And people, start to like you. They like your product. And I think people kind of have to like you, too. It's how you present yourself. But I'd walk in there with my hat and my embroidered shirt and looking sharp. And, yeah, it is old school. You write out the invoices right in front of them. So, yeah, there's not a lot of computer involvement in this. It's pretty much, strictly by handshake, and just faith that that customer's going to want to be there each and every day. And I've made many 1,000-mile trips up into North Dakota and did a big old circle around, Bismarck to Minot and all the way across. Mandan was really nice, North Dakota. But right now I have that distributor handling those accounts, but I'm looking to create more of these. So if you're a distributor or, are into that, or creating a distributorship for yourselves, this would be a perfect way to go. But I would like to have someone just carry this product alone. And this can really prove out as in itself instead of just throwing it in with a bunch of other products. I just happen to choose South Dakota's best because I kind of knew the people a little bit out there, and they handle South Dakota, North Dakota. And there's only one other competing market I think that they carry, and that was the same people that make my product, and that was the Sturgis Meats folks out there.
But here's a question. I mean, sales is relationships, right? And I think you probably experienced that firsthand.
Right.
So were they buying the jerky because of the jerky, or were they buying the jerky because of you, or a combination of both?
I'm sorry, say that again, Ray.
No, well, I'm asking you. You agree with me? In sales is relationships, basically, right? So I'm asking you.
Yep.
You sound like the consummate salesman. So if you walk into my store, I'm going to be amenable to you just because of who you are, not necessarily your product. So what I'm asking you, if I'm looking to sell this thing, if I'm looking to sell jerky, is it going to be because of my effort or because of the jerky itself that will get the sale?
Let me tell you, I was in Nebraska and got my butt handed to me because you had to be in the co-op or corp. And up there because it just comes out of nowhere. So I'm on the road. I'm a few hours from home. So I rest overnight, 55 degrees, throws my butt off.
Hey, Randy? Randy? Can you hear me?
This is me on the road in Nebraska.
Randy.
So,
Randy, hold on. You that whole story was cut off. We heard maybe 3 words. So I think are you moving around when you're speaking, or are you in one spot?
I'm sitting here. I got 4G. I'm all good.
Okay.
Now,
Because you're going you're going in and out, and so we're hearing like every other word.
Sorry about that.
No problem. So okay, let's go back. That's okay. We can edit this. So that's why we don't do it live. So let's go back. Begin to tell me the story. You said you got your butt handed to you. Tell me about that. Hello? We lose him? Hung up?
It says he's still on the line.
Randy, you still with me?
Service. I'm going to hang up and call back.
You've reached the voicemail of Howard Anderson, Carleton's Grand Jerky, and
Howard, you
hey,
there?
thanks for having me back, Brine.
Oh,
Yep,
okay, there we go. There we go.
right
Yeah,
on.
yeah. Okay, so we didn't hear. I think we had maybe every other word, and then it all got cut off. And you were beginning to talk
All
about
right.
how you had your butt handed to you. So
Yeah,
let's go from there.
yeah. It's a great little story here out of Scottsbluff, Nebraska. I had to be involved in the co-ops or the corporate. I had to find the manager, the owners, and just kind of got the runaround all day, chasing people down. It does happen, but I was determined. So I went to a rest area, stayed the night, froze my butt off in 55-degree temperature. Randy and I, we used to kid about this here because sometimes lightning strikes in the most unique ways. So I woke up the next morning, went into Torrington, Wyoming, which is kind of bordering Nebraska there. I walked in the grocery chain with my baggie of little bits that I just snip off, and I just get the manager to try it. And he bought 2 cases. Then we went up to his office. He got on the phone, called the grocery store over in Scottsbluff. Same thing. He bought 2 cases, and they sent me down to Kimball, South Dakota, and I sold the remaining 48. So
Wow,
I think I sold like 688 bags in about 2 or 3 hours, and I went home empty, which is a good thing.
that's a good thing. Let's talk about your industry,
Yeah.
Howard. Who are the big players in the space, and how do you get in? How do you intend to get into that space?
Not really looking to compete with anybody. I'm not trying to compete with a Jack Links or Oberto or Slim Jims and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
This product stands alone again as its packaging. I'm not sure if my marketing approach will be all that unique. It's going to be word of mouth, but it's wide open. So really, it's going to come down to the taste preference. It's going to come down to the protein and carbs, the flavor, and the packaging. And people are going to be dealing with me directly, and I'm the one that they're going to be talking to. So I'm not really out there competing with other products, so it doesn't really compete with them
Mm-hmm.
because it isn't the same product. It's just a whole different deal. From South Dakota, it's really just the sweet brine that sets it apart from all the other products.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, it isn't that same old salty cow.
Gotcha. Are there markets and businesses that would definitely benefit from selling your product?
Well, the great thing about this, I'm glad you bring it up, Ray, because of the packaging and because of that nice Western flair that it has. If people go on the Facebook page, and they'll see all about it. The beef and the buffalo. It can go in gift shops. It can go in airline gift shops. It can go in just regular C-stores, grocery chains, sporting events. Now, the great thing we didn't talk about, Ray, is someone can buy this stuff at wholesale through me at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Then they can go do shows. Well, if you're doing a craft fair or you're just anything, I mean, it could be a gun show, it could be a card show, and they're providing snacks for people. They can carry this alongside of the other snacks, and maybe they're selling popcorn or drinks. And you have jerky there, and you have this on a clip strip there. And, oh, what's that? Oh, Carleton's Grand Jerky. Your listeners can make probably, 3 or 4 or 5. I've seen my product sell upwards of $14, $15 when the wholesale's at $5. I don't think I'm giving anything away. I'm going to be very transparent about the product and the ability for it to turn a profit, especially in the shows that people can do,
Mm-hmm.
which is great because it introduces it to a whole new area, and from there it can kind of create the routes that we talked about earlier. So, yep, I'll be visiting your store. I'll be mentioning you. I'll be talking about your store because my product is now in your store.
Mm-hmm.
We can advertise with and for you.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay. When you
So there's all kinds of possibilities, like I said. So it can go in the finest of gift shops and just any old C store. It'll sell 7-Elevens, privately owned. And eventually we're going to get some corporate accounts throughout the country too.
It,
Maybe
it,
it'll be the Love's
it,
truck stop near you.
well, it's
Yep.
funny that you say that because I could see this in a Costco's. I could see this in some of the larger supermarket brands. I can honestly see this in those stores. But tell me something. Once I want to go back to the family for a moment because obviously when Randy passed, obviously it was intense. How did everyone get on the same page in order to go forward with this? And what made you want to take on that responsibility?
Well, other than I know it's a great product, and Cheryl's still my sister-in-law, and we spent 16 years in South Dakota, so I love the area. I know the manufacturer people well up in Sturgis Meats that produced my product, and it actually was done by another set of folks up in Montana too.
Hmm.
So it doesn't mean that we're just going to strictly, as we start to get a little bigger, I think we might have to find other USDA manufacturing plants. Um, but the product will stay pretty much unique to itself. It'll be made the same way. Um, we just got a great following, and I just didn't really want to see it die. I mean, I could have given up. Cheryl kind of gave up on it. Didn't want to fund it anymore.
Mm.
Didn't want to wait the 30 days to collect the funds and stuff like that. And I was in a position where I could. And so we made a real easy decision between my wife and I to continue to take it on. But I really just let it sit on the back burner till a friend of mine, friend of yours, just could see the possibilities. And I know it was all there, but I can only do so much in a day.
Sure.
But now I'm invested to get this moving, and we're kind of approaching folks like yourself throughout the country, and we're ready to start marketing this and get this thing national.
So we talk about growth, uh, growth of the product, growth of the business. How poised are you for growth right now? How poised is the product ready for growth?
I think we're going to be just slow, but I know that, Sturgis Meats will manufacture it, but we'll be looking at other manufacturing plants throughout the country, but they're my go-to people right now. Once they start cooking it for me, they'll just keep on doing it. If I keep on putting orders, they'll just kind of producing it there. So
Hmm.
I'd be inclined to send product out in spots and have people test it out. Maybe do some pre-orders, like I sent some to a gentleman in California who's ready to just get some pre-orders, get some samples, and just once we get it produced, we're just not going to stop. We've done this before. Randy did it back in 2015, and he kind of held Sturgis Beef to a contract there, and that's where we started turning on that beef and the buffalo, and we never let up until he died. Then I had to take on the routes myself, and I had to keep North Dakota and South Dakota and keep the construction business going. But I made all the routes. I turned North Dakota into a 60-day routine. South Dakota stayed 30 days. So that curtailed it, and that's why I finally, when I moved, I had to give it up to somebody else.
Understood.
But it's just testament that it will keep selling on its own, and those clients have been with us probably for probably about 5 years now. 2019, 2014, so about 5 years now.
Okay.
We've had steady clientele.
Okay, we're going to take a second break. We're on the line with Howard Anderson of Carleton's Grand Jerky Sweet Brine. This is the Coach Ray Speaks podcast. We will be right back.
Hi, this is Coach Ray Baxter, and I want to talk to you for a moment about your business. That's right, your business. Have you laid a foundation of reliability and trust within your team? How do you deal with difficult customers? Now that you have completed the sale, what's your retention strategy? Ladies and gentlemen, not only am I a business strategist, but a subject matter expert on leadership and how leadership can enhance your bottom line. I speak throughout the country and all over the world, and I have 5 signature programs through which you can teach your staff to ask insightful questions to derive pain points, to discover whether your leaders are focus driven or chaos creators, to not just survive the day, but to reduce service recovery. And finally, to learn not to apologize to a customer, but to collaborate and give more than what's expected. At RBJ Global Solutions, our goal is to provide an energetic, strategic, and profitable approach to organizational front lines. Contact me. I'd love to speak with you about talking to your group. That's Coach Ray, that's CoachRay, at CoachRaySpeaks.com.
And we're back for the last segment of the Coach Ray Speaks podcast. We're talking with Mr. Howard Anderson of Carleton's Grand Jerky Sweet Brine. And let's turn the page a little bit, Howard. Let's talk about the sales aspect of the product now. I know we've been touching on it throughout the interview, but I want to go deep into it now because I know it's time for you, I would think, this is what you're looking to do, is time to expand it. What exactly are your plans? Where exactly do you want to expand? How do you want to expand? Is there a plan in place? And if someone wants to get in touch, let's go through the whole process. Exactly how do you want to expand this thing?
Absolutely. So let me just start off and reiterate again that this product is USDA, so it can go in every state. After seeing some success by Randy and the fun that he was having with it, and that's why I joined forces with him, and I can show people how easy it is to get in on it, to market it in their local area. I think I talked about that with, just setting it up in, gift shops, C-stores, doing shows is a great way to get the product into your area and start talking about it that way. Once we start getting the product the way that I know we're going to manufacture it here, actually it's on order right now. I got about a 30-day window right now that we're ramping this up. Okay. We'll get our website. They'll be able to contact us through the website and through Facebook. My direct line will be there, and people can call me directly. We'll set up the time if we want to get into a deep discussion on what it would take to turn somebody into a jerky salesperson, as my wife and sister-in-law calls the jerky boys. Yeah, so it's really easy to do. The product sells itself, that I told about Scott's Bluff. You walk in with a little sample, they try it, you lay out the numbers for them. The numbers work out. We're competitive with all the other brands, and that's what will get this going. So anybody from any part of the United States can reach me through Carleton's Grand Jerky at Facebook, or reverse that, but our Facebook page, and I can tell them how easy it is to get in on it.
So here's another question. What are the key strengths? If I'm looking to get into sales and this is a product that I'm thinking about, what's the key strength of beef jerky itself, and in particularly Carleton's Grand Jerky? What are the key strengths that you can tell me about?
I think you have to have some sort of a personality, I guess, when you're going in, you're meeting all these different people. Obviously, you have to be kind, polite, and you have to be kind of off the cuff. You have to kind of do the Tommy Boy thing and just create something from nothing. When you're meeting new people, you just kind of have to have, I wouldn't say a gift for gab, but because it isn't always about the jerky. But like I said, the jerky does sell itself. But when you meet new people and you're doing the shows, that's why the shows are great, because they're nice icebreakers to introduce the product to people, talk about it. So those are the types of things. You just have some sort of a personality. You just can't go in there all dry and you're not. It's not like door-to-door sales, but it's kind of like that. But it's not always going to be a yes. So you have to kind of just shrug those off, because when it does become something, it's just exhilarating. So when that lightning strikes and you drop off, a couple of cases, or you get that account where you're going to furnish, 10 supermarket stores or something like that, and they're requesting 4 or 5 cases, a month or whatever. Can you imagine the residual income you're going to create from this? And you just got to keep your customers happy.
Wow. Okay. So let's begin to wrap this up. Give me the Facebook and your phone number one more time.
My direct line is 603-703-9135. You can find that on our page on Facebook, Carleton's Grand Jerky. I will also be setting up an Instagram account. And the usual, we'll get our website. Our website will be grandjerky.com. And hopefully within the next week or two, we'll have that up and running. They'll see a lot more about the history of the product, the founder, Randy Carleton, where he got his inspiration for the product, and the design of the brine, which, as I said at the beginning of the show, was really intended for fish, but then he applied it to beef and to bison, and it just works marvelously.
Let's give a shout to some of your distributors. Who do you have distributing this product for you right now?
At the moment, it is Dakota's Best, and you can see those folks on Amazon, and they still have product available. So you can put the onus on them at the moment if you want to try our product. More serious folks can call me directly, and as supplies are limited at the moment, as Ray knows, we can get some product out to certain folks throughout the country if they went in on this. I would say only the most serious people apply. But yeah, if you just want to try the product, you can go to Amazon and look up Carleton's Grand Jerky and purchase it there. Once I have lots of supplies, then they'll be able to contact me directly. I'll probably have a selling website where they'll buy it from me and probably at a cheaper price than the other folks that I just mentioned. Mm-hmm. But they got to make a living too. But at the moment, that's going to be the easiest way to go on Amazon and check us out there.
Okay.
So Dakota's Best is the only distributor. So if you look at their success in those two states, South Dakota, North Dakota, and if you're a distributor out there, you can see through their success how it can also be successful in other parts of the country.
To wrap up, I ask all of my coaching clients this question, and many are not sure why until they deeply look at their process, okay? And I know you told me before, you're kind of piecing this thing together, but would you do business with yourself if you were a customer, and why?
I would do business with myself. When people find out, the passion and then hear this and they talk to me directly, they're going to realize that I'm all in like Randy was all in, and I followed his passion. I followed his dream. I'm about the only one that could really even go forward with this. So it just so happened that Cheryl was willing to give it up to me. I was the one that had the direct contact. We were on many road trips together in Colorado, and we've been up this, the Netherlands, which is, I think, above Boulder, Colorado, up that way, and spent a lot of time on the road, so I got to know Randy, got to see how he approached customers, and I kind of did the same thing, just kind of create it on the fly. But I just want to reiterate that the product sells itself, so you don't have to be the most gifted salesperson. You just have to be clean, polite, and you know a bit about the product, which I will share, and the price and whatnot there. A little backstory is nice. But yeah. So I think I have the personality that somebody would want to purchase from.
Well, with that being said, I can definitely tell those that are listening, I've tried it. I was not a big beef jerky fan, but I am a fan of Carleton's Grand Jerky, and this is really good stuff. So awesome. I would thank Mr. Howard Anderson for your time, sir, in telling us this story. This is one of the great American stories of a brand that's actually building something that was created here in America, something that's made by Americans and sold by Americans. Hey, quick question. Would you sell it overseas if you had the opportunity?
I actually have friends all over the world. I'm a big chess nut, so people can call me about that as well. I'd rather talk about jerky, but I love chess, and I've got friends all over the world. I thought about sending some to Budapest, Hungary. I'm still inclined to do it. I'm willing to try just about anything. So like I said, I have that entrepreneurial spirit that Randy had, so I'm not afraid to, and I've been talking actually to people that I know in Canada, and I'd like to get it up there. I'd have to work out all the legal paperwork and things like that, but I'd be willing to look at things like that. But overseas, yeah, whatever it takes, I'm willing to try. So I do have a mutual chess friend that lives in Budapest, Hungary, and is thinking about maybe trying it there.
Well, the CRS, we're getting fans every day from all over the world, so maybe someone will hear this in Canada, maybe someone will hear this in Bermuda, maybe someone will hear this in Great Britain, and you never know. If, in fact, you want to get a hold of Howard, once again, give your email and your phone number.
So they can reach me at Carleton's Grand Jerky at Hotmail, and the phone number is 603-703-9135.
Or if you can't reach him, you could always reach me here at the Coach Ray Speaks podcast, Coach Ray at CoachRaySpeaks.com. We thank Mr. Howard Anderson for the time and the interview. And that wraps it up for this episode of Coach Ray Speaks. And that concludes this episode. Have a great day.
Hey, this is Coach Ray from Coach Ray Speaks. I want to thank you for listening to the podcast. We hope to give you great content with each and every episode. If you happen to want to speak with us or have any comments about the show, please contact me at Coach Ray, CoachRay, at CoachRaySpeaks.com. Otherwise, lift your feet up, light them if you got them. We'll be right back with great conversation.